So, do you guys have anything else to bring up with regards to E3? Any games you're looking forward to? Any new trailers that you saw, or anything that happened during E3?
I already said what I'm excited about.
Fallout.
I think Nintendo fucked up by they literally showed like two things at E3, which was the new Zelda and a little bit of the new Pokemon. Like that was their E3, which it's good that they're not sitting there and showing things 8 years out. But as supposedly one of the top 3 video game companies, that's to me that I don't know, that seemed odd and not good.
They mentioned it's going to be released on the Wii U and the NX. I think they mentioned that. So there's going to be obviously going to be a graphics difference between the two.
Theoretically, yes.
And we don't know the power of the NX right now.
Nope.
So the game could look drastically different when they showed off on the NX, because the footage they showed off, you mentioned, was on the Wii U.
Correct.
If you go back and watch the demo they showed, they actually have FPS issues in the demo. It's pretty funny. Obviously, this is development build, so it's not optimized, but it's still funny. The Wii U hardware is just really underpowered. I wish it wasn't. I wish Nintendo would actually put good hardware, and they're still not going to do it for the NX. They have mentioned that they're going more for a gameplay, story-based, fun games, basically, what they're saying. And they've been saying that for the last decade.
Which doesn't make sense, because it's one of those things, like, you can argue that they're trying to keep the cost down to make it affordable to people who aren't willing to spend that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
But
then again, the Wii U isn't that much
you
cheaper.
You can always dumb down graphics. So, like, okay, cool.
What do you mean?
You as a developer want to make these family-friendly, cartoony-looking games that doesn't need high shit.
You're dead.
You can still do that, but why not provide a platform to allow other companies make higher graphic type games? Like, by not being able to provide developers with that platform, you're missing out on a large portion of the market.
Right. So what you're talking about is third-party developers like EA or Ubisoft or whatever. They're making a game, and they want to make games with high graphics fidelity. They want to be 1080p or 4K. They're heading towards that with good graphics, realistic, all that stuff. You just can't do that on the Wii U. You'd have to redo everything, the lighting, the textures, just for the Wii U to dumb it down to their level, and the game would look like shit. So that's why a lot of third-party developers have just abandoned developing for the Nintendo. I honestly don't know why they would do that to themselves, why they wouldn't just put a better CPU into it, put a better graphics card into it. Is it really that difficult these days, now that consoles are basically PCs?
It's got to be a cost thing. They don't want to raise the cost of the console.
But the Wii isn't
fucking
that
mouse.
Much cheaper.
God damn it!
Hit Alt.
Not Alt.
Sure,
Tab
mouse.
in this game.
Mouse.
It's different than PS2. Yeah.
All right. The Wii isn't that much cheaper than a PS4 or an Xbox One. It's not like it's $50. If it was $50, then it'd be like, oh my god, this thing is so cheap. Like everyone needs to buy one. Or maybe even $100.
It's a pretty big difference.
Is it though? How often do you buy a console?
The PS4s and ones the prices have just dropped. But before that, it was like a $100+ difference.
Right. I think it was like $150 difference.
Right. So what are you saying? Like, that's noticeable, and they don't want to lose that.
Sure, but you're still at a level that if you're at a level where people still have to decide whether to go with the other one, and it's not an automatic decision. I don't know the sales of the Wii U, but from everything I've read, they haven't been selling well.
No.
Right.
Which, that was because really the only difference between the Wii U and the Wii was the controller. The actual console itself, there was like almost no difference. And so that gave them no incentive for people to upgrade because it wasn't
Mhm.
like a new launch, but it came out when the actual Xbox One and PS4 came out, which was an upgrade. So yeah, they lost that race by a lot.
And they're probably going to lose the next race if they're continuing down this path. It's self-destruction here. If they know what's wrong with it, but they're not fixing it. So, yeah, it's like that saying that everyone says that I'm not going to say. You know, doing the same thing over and over again, blah, blah, blah.
It always works. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, well, let's move on to a third topic right now. This is a Kickstarter recently was launched on Steam. They released their game finally. The game was Mighty Number 9. It was made by a company called Concept, which I believe was started by the creator of the original Mega Man. And this game is supposed to be maybe a spiritual successor to Mega Man, employing many of the same game elements and slightly better graphics, etc. It was backed by 67,226 people on Kickstarter. So that's quite a bit of money. I think it was $4 million they spent on it.
Wow. That's a lot.
Well, for a game, $4 million is not that much, considering some games that EA makes are like hundreds of millions of dollars.
So what was the premise of the game?
You mean the story?
Yeah, like what was the game going to be?
I have no idea. Oh, what the gameplay? What do you mean?
Yeah, like the game. What were you doing? Was it an MMO, RPG, FPS? Like
It's a third-person, side-scrolling action game. It's Mega Man.
Oh, okay.
Okay, when I say Mega Man, you might not even know what Mega Man is because I played that when I was a kid, and by the time I grew up, that might have been not that popular. Have you played a Mega Man before?
No.
Right, so that's probably why you don't understand. But okay, so basically Mega Man was back in the old Atari Nintendo days, it was a side-scrolling platformer. Sure. It's a side-scrolling platformer similar to Mario at the time, but instead you were a robot, and you had to pass these levels, and it was difficult. It was really difficult, actually. Yeah, that's about it. So, anyways, why I'm bringing up Mighty Number 9 is because of the reviews it's getting. It's getting really mixed reviews. It got a 5 out of 10 on GameSpot. I think it got a 5.6 on IGN. And this almost feels like a common thread with Kickstarters these days, that they take people's money and they'll just release something that's subpar.
Yeah, but there have been some really good Kickstarter games, haven't there?
Sure, I think I can name like maybe one. But okay, name one Kickstarter that you know of that actually was really good.
Cricket.
Right. It's like the only one I can think of is...
I don't really pay attention to Kickstarter, though. Like, I'm not a big Kickstarter person.
I know a lot of board games. I don't really pay attention to video games that are Kickstarted.
Personally, like, I don't give away my money that often. So...
And that's essentially what you're doing with Kickstarter, right? You're
literally... your parents' money, though.
No. My money. I don't really... My parents don't really give me money. I have to work and make my own.
Oh, now you just made me feel bad for you.
Except they pay for your computer and your internet. And
no, I had to buy my whole computer. They pay for my internet and food. Yeah.
All right.
And my Netflix.
That's not that much money.
Yes, it is.
You lost the argument.
Netflix is raising its prices. Again. Sorry, that's off topic.
So anyway, Kickstarter.
Yeah.
We should kickstart a video.
I wish that was possible. the one game that I in my mind that has succeeded is Dreamfall Chapters, which was created by Ragnar Turnquist. He worked for Funcom, or I think he still works for Funcom, and they just split off and kind of made a different company to do this Kickstarter called Red Thread, I think. There's also, I'm excluding games like, I believe Life is Strange was also a Kickstarter, but Life is Strange didn't need to be a Kickstarter because they were already backed by Square Enix, which they have a ton of money. They don't need to be Kickstarted. It was just a way of like getting people to pay for shit before the game was ready. That was it. It's like, oh, we already have this amount of sales even before we started developing the game. That's what they were doing. Actually, probably they were already on their way to developing it. That's just one of my peeves with Kickstarter, is that big companies are using it now just to pre-order their games or have a system like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. It's almost like if Call of Duty suddenly went on Kickstarter and they're like, "Here, buy Call of Duty off Kickstarter." Why? Do you actually need money to finish developing the game? No, obviously not.
Well, there are some who would argue that, Elite Dangerous was pretty friggin' successful considering the small amount that it raised for its Kickstarter.
Elite Dangerous was Kickstarter?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll agree with that.
Did not know that.
Yeah, their original goal was $1.25 million, and they hit 1.5. Well, over 1.5 million, so that's why it got launched. Oculus Rift was another famous Kickstarter. I mean, wasn't it?
Right, but the Oculus Rift is ain't as good as the Vive.
It's not a game, but it's a Kickstarter that was classed as successful.
Sure. The thing is, the Rift has been around since 2012, somewhere there. I think they were at E3 in 2012 with their DK1.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing it for a long time, and all of a sudden HTC was like, "Hey, we made one too," and they threw it out there, and it's better than the Oculus. So, what does that say about the Oculus? Does it say that they spent 4 years doing nothing?
Oculus
No, I'm sure
was funded by a Kickstarter project, whereas HTC is HTC. I mean, that's a huge company that has a lot of money to throw at it.
Well, Oculus is owned by who are they owned by? Amazon? Is it Amazon? Is it Google? Is it Amazon? Google? Yahoo? Which one is it? Whatever. They're owned by one of these big companies, so it's not like they don't have money. They have a ton of money.
That dude has 2 jackhammers.
That's how he rolls, man. Dual wielding jackhammers.
And actually, when the Kickstarter was started, Oculus was a independent company.
Yes, they were.
They might be owned
right.
by somebody who
they were purchased by. I'm going to Google it.
I think they were purchased by Google, weren't they?
No, they were purchased by Facebook. There we go.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I remember that now. Facebook. It was very strange that Facebook would buy a company like that because Facebook doesn't develop games, or at least not directly.
Mm-hmm. But bear in mind that Oculus Rift's original Kickstarter goal was only $250,000, and it surpassed that tremendously by hitting just under $2.5 million.
Imagine what the headset would look like with $250,000.
Kidding, you know this guy?
Deccan, yeah, you should probably shoot him.
The hell's that?
He is actually in my video where we team killed Dargo repeatedly and rezzed him. It's
nice.
Great.
Wait, there's actually someone from your childhood.
So back to Mighty Number 9. There are a ton of reviews on Steam about that game, whether it's good or bad, etc. I've read dozens of their reviews on Steam, and it seems very mixed. Like, some people say that they never played the old Mega Man, and they like. Some people say they like it. Some people say they dislike it, and same for people who say that they have played the old Mega Man. Some people like it, and some people dislike it. It's very hard to get a gauge on whether this game is good or not. So that's why I'm saying the reviews are mixed, and I think that's what GameSpot and IGN are saying by giving them a 5. It's like a weird in-between game. And that's kind of generally where Kickstarters land these days. like the ones we mentioned, Dreamfall Chapters, Elite Dangerous, and Oculus Rift, those are some of the successful ones. But how many failures are there?
A lot of the problem with Mighty Number 9 came from the fact that, when you look at Kickstarters, when you look at a list of Kickstarters that exist at the moment, Mighty Number 9 is ranked 7 out of all-time Kickstarters for money raised. Obviously Star Citizen's at the top at $100 million fucking dollars and growing every day, and no one is close to taking that title from them. But with Mighty Number 9, the Kickstarter backers that were promised rewards were given broken codes, wrong rewards, and while they corrected some of them, they didn't correct all of them. The game had multiple delays. It had mediocre reception. Loads of communication
I don't think they're
problems,
getting bad reviews because of that.
Which was probably backed by the language barrier. And a lot of the backers ended up saying, yeah, we backed it, but it's shit. So I think that's what, it ended up being its kind of like death knell for it, is you want somebody to fund you and then you piss them off by not giving them what they paid for.
Well, the thing is with Kickstarters, though, they already have your money. You already purchased the game.
Do you really get anything from like donating to Kickstarters? Don't they give away the game to you?
It depends. Like some Kickstarters, you have certain targets that you can reach. Like if you donate $5, they're like, cheers, thanks for your money. But if you donate like $2,000, they're like, oh gee, thanks so much. Your name will appear in the end credits of the game as a contributor. And if you give them $5,000, then maybe you go to get a dinner date with one of their producers one day that's paid for by that. And there's all sorts of different rewards, and it largely depends on the company that give it. Like with Star Citizen, for example, there's none of that. What you give them in Kickstarter actually buys your ships. So like, I could donate $15 and get an Aurora Clipper, whereas somebody else could donate $15,000 and get a fucking Continental battleship. So again, it all depends on the Kickstart campaign and how it works out.
I think that's insane, by the way.
With Mighty Number 9, again, a lot of the talk that's going on is that people were not even given the game. Like they hit these rewards, but then were not given it. So they were given a code, but your code didn't work, and so they tried to speak to CS and got ran around. And that's not what you pay for. That's not what you back a game for.
Yeah, games these days that do bad launches, that's pretty much a death sentence for them. Even if after the fact they do fix all the bugs and all the issues, it's over. Once all those bad reviews come out, I don't mean to point at Mighty Number 9 and say like that's a bad game. I'm just saying that Kickstarters in general are kind of finicky. They're generally not that great. So you're backing something, you're basically buying something before it's developed most of the time. And most of the time it's going to come out that it's not that great. But you know what? If you like Kickstarters and you like backing it, you've got a ton of money, keep doing that. Because there are diamonds in the rough in Kickstarter, and eventually, that 1 out of 20 games is good. Thank God you guys did the Kickstarter for it, right? Yep. Do you guys have anything to say about Kickstarter?
I just think that Kickstarting is becoming a bit of a trend, especially increasingly after the announcement of Star Citizen and the huge success behind it. And at the moment, we saw it with Smedley. When Smedley left Daybreak Gaming and decided to start up his own company, he then started, building, I think it was a Terraria-esque voxel sandbox type game. And they wanted it crowdfunding or kickstarting or whatever. And within 2 days, they stopped. Because it just wasn't getting the attention that it needed in order to get the ball rolling. There was a lot of donations made to them, but it was just like, okay, let's just kibosh this because it's not going to go where we need it to go. And I think it stems from the fact that when you look at Star Citizen and how well it did, everybody starts a Kickstarter because everybody wants to be the next Star Citizen, in much the same way that everybody builds a voxel game because they want to be the next Notch. And once in a blue moon does this happen. So there is a causality behind the popularity and success of one entity, and then the surge that you'll see afterward.
Sure, it goes for anything in the entire world. Someone makes some money and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do it too." PewDiePie made millions of dollars. Oh my god, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, right? That's how it works.
Why does no one watch my YouTube? I keep sending Markiplier all these inboxes, and he's still not subscribed to me. Like, what the?
Pretty much, it's like, mention me on your stream. Come on.
Yeah. Seriously, Markiplier, if you're out there, give me a call, dude. I just think he's hot. Sorry.
So before we change topics, last thing I want to mention is Mighty Number 9 had 67,000 backers, and they actually included every single backer in the end credits of the game, one line at a time, and the credits are almost 4 hours long. That's hilarious.
That was probably the thought behind it, is that, we're going to include your name in the credits, but nobody's ever going to see it because nobody's sad enough to watch the credits that long. It's like, can you imagine sitting there and being like, "Honey, dinner's ready. 1 second, Mom, I'm looking for my name in this."
Usually they do it in paragraphs. They'll have like 10 names in a line and then 10 names under it and with the commas like separating them. In this game, they just had each name is on one line and it just scrolled. It's insane.
I think that's awesome.
Sure, but you're like,
they like trolled the backers. That's like awesome.
I have to wait. I'm like, my number is 50,000 something. I have to wait for 50,000. So it's about 3 hours in to see my name.
Or you're going to be one of those people who exacerbates themselves by fast forwarding too far back, too far, fast forward too far back, too far.
You know what? You're probably going to miss it. You're probably going to fall asleep or something. I think the only way to catch your name is to record the entire thing and to scrub through the footage to find your name. I think that's a good place to end it. Scrubbing through footage to find your name on Kickstarter. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Give it a thumbs down if you didn't. Check out some of our previous podcasts, and we'll be back next week. See you guys next time.
Woo!
Before we go, watch this OS.
Run into it.
I will, don't worry. So
I
pretty.
I double dare you. Run!
Orbital strike!
And
all right, guys.
Hashtag what?
See you guys next time. Bye. Unless they put the ship into a gun and they shoot that ship. Gun.
We are back.
What if the ship is just a giant mass relay and it just uses that?
Well, if the ship is a giant mass relay, then it's basically like an FTL drive then, right?
Oh my god.
Just FTL drive.
Oh, I forgot. One thing is the Reapers did have a mass relay out in dark space because the Citadel is also a mass relay. Oh, spoilers.
That's right, yeah.
So I wonder if they get that back on and then it takes them halfway or something. I don't know.
They could also do just like a cryogenic sleep.